Most families stockpile the wrong things, not because they're careless, because nobody ever explains why one item lasts 3 years in your pantry and another one is garbage in 6 months. Today, we're fixing that. 12 items, ranked by how much sense they actually make to buy now, before September. And I'll tell you exactly why each one earned its spot and where it falls short. Late summer into early fall is when a few predictable things line up. Seasonal harvests wind down, some staple prices tend to drift upward heading into the holiday season, and a lot of households quietly let their pantry basics run low over the summer without noticing. None of that means a crisis is coming. It means there's a practical window to restock smart, before demand and prices both tick up for a few common categories. 12 items, each one chosen for a concrete, checkable reason: price behavior, shelf life, or how it holds up in real household use. Let's get into it. Number 12. Rice, long grain white. White rice stored properly in a sealed container can last well over 10 years. It's one of the few pantry staples where forever food isn't an exaggeration. The catch: brown rice doesn't get the same deal. Its oil content means it goes rancid in months, not years, so if long-term storage is the goal, white rice is the one to buy in bulk. Price per pound is usually lowest when you buy larger bags rather than small ones, but only if you'll actually use it. A 25-pound bag sitting half-finished isn't a deal, it's clutter. Buy a large bag, transfer it to a food-safe airtight container with an oxygen absorber, and store it somewhere cool and dark. This next one is the item people always forget, belongs on a stockpile list at all. Number 11. Dried beans. Beans are cheap, shelf-stable for years when kept dry and sealed, and they're a genuinely complete enough protein source when paired with rice. The trade-off nobody mentions: beans older than a year or two take noticeably longer to cook and never soften quite the same way, so rotating stock matters more here than with rice. Buy them in 1 to 2 pound bags you'll actually rotate through within 12 to 18 months, rather than one giant bag you forget about. Next up is one where the cheap version is actually the worst deal. Number 10. Cooking oil. Oil doesn't spoil overnight, but it does go rancid, usually within 12 to 24 months once opened, faster in heat or light. Buying 6 bottles because they're on sale only pays off if you're using oil fast enough to get through them before they turn. Olive oil, in particular, degrades faster than people expect once opened. Stick to 2 or 3 bottles ahead of current use, dark glass over clear plastic when you have the choice, and store it away from the stove's heat. Number 9. Canned tomatoes. Canned goods generally hold 2 to 4 years past the printed date if the can itself is intact, and tomatoes are one of the more versatile bases in a pantry. Sauce, soup, chili, stew. The limitation: canned tomatoes are acidic enough that the can lining can start to affect flavor after a couple years. So this isn't a buy 50 cans and forget them item. It's a buy a real supply and actually cook with it item. Rotate oldest to front and use within 2 years for best flavor, even though safety extends longer. Here's one where the packaging you choose matters more than the food itself. Number 8. Pasta. Dry pasta stored sealed and dry can last 2+ years without much quality loss, and it's about as cheap per serving as food gets. It pairs with almost everything already on this list. Its one real weakness: moisture. A damp pantry or basement will turn a 2-year shelf life into a 6-month one. Original packaging is fine short-term, but for longer storage, move it into a sealed container. Humidity is the actual threat here, not time. Number 7. Peanut butter. Unopened, peanut butter can sit for a year or more past its date. It's dense in calories and protein, and unlike most of this list, it needs zero prep. Natural peanut butter without stabilizers is the exception. It separates and turns faster, so if long shelf life is the priority, the shelf-stable, commercial kind actually outperforms the healthier option here. That's a real trade-off worth knowing before you buy. Go with commercial, non-natural peanut butter for storage purposes and natural for near-term eating. This next one isn't about survival. It's about morale, and it matters more than people admit. Number 6. Instant coffee or tea. Nobody stockpiles coffee for nutrition. They stockpile it because a few days into any disruption to normal routine, bad weather, a rough financial stretch, whatever it is, small comforts do a lot for how a household actually copes. Instant coffee keeps for years sealed, takes no fridge space, and needs only hot water. It's not essential in the way rice is essential. It's essential in a different way. A couple of jars of instant coffee or a box of tea bags, stored anywhere dry. This one's about ease, not optimization. We're at the halfway point. From here, the trade-offs get more specific, and the reasoning has to work harder to earn each spot. One more thing about the coffee. Actually, the instant stigma is mostly outdated. A lot of the quality gap that used to exist has closed in the last several years, so this isn't the compromise it once was. Number 5. Powdered milk. Shelf-stable for a year or more unopened, and useful for baking and cooking, even if nobody drinks it straight. The taste difference versus fresh milk is real and noticeable, which is exactly why people who buy it for stockpiling and never test it first end up with a container they never touch. Buy one small box first. Actually use it in cooking before committing to a larger amount. This is the one item on the list where testing before stockpiling genuinely matters. Number 4. Salt. Salt doesn't expire. Full stop. It's also cheap. Essential for food preservation methods like curing or pickling, and useful in quantities most households never think to keep on hand. The reason it's not higher on this list: you need very little of it relative to everything else here, so buying in bulk mostly just means buying ahead of a price increase, not solving a real shortage risk. A few extra pounds costs almost nothing and never goes to waste. Low effort, low cost, no downside. One thing before the top 3, something a lot of stockpiling content skips entirely. Shelf life numbers on packaging are conservative estimates, not expiration cliffs. Most of what's on this list is still safe well past the printed date if it's been stored dry and sealed. The real risk with most pantry staples isn't the food going bad, it's moisture, pests, or heat getting to it first. Storage conditions matter more than the date on the label. Number 3. Honey. Honey, stored sealed, doesn't spoil. Archaeologists have found edible honey in ancient tombs. It crystallizes over time, but that's reversible with gentle heat, not spoilage. It's also useful beyond sweetening, as a shelf-stable energy source and, in a practical pinch, a minor wound care aid historically used for its antibacterial properties, not a substitute for real medical care, just a genuinely useful side property. 1 or 2 jars, stored anywhere room temperature. This is close to a zero-maintenance stockpile item. This one, and the next form, the most overlooked combination on this whole list. Number 2. Multivitamins. Nutritional variety is the first thing that suffers when a household leans on stockpiled staples for a stretch. Rice, beans, and pasta don't cover everything a diet needs. A basic multivitamin is cheap insurance against that gap, and unlike food, it takes up almost no storage space. It's not a substitute for real food variety when that's available. It's a bridge for when it temporarily isn't. 1 bottle per household member, checked yearly for expiration, since these do lose potency over time, unlike most of this list. Now, the one I've been building toward. Number 1. Water storage containers. Not water itself, the containers. Here's the reasoning. Most households have zero dedicated water storage, relying entirely on the tap working every single day without interruption. A short interruption, a boil water notice, a plumbing issue, a bad storm, is far more common than any food shortage most families will ever actually face, and it's the one disruption that has no workaround. You can ration food. You can't ration water you don't have. Food-grade containers, properly cleaned, let you store tap water for 6 to 12 months with occasional rotation. And unlike bottled water, you're not paying a premium for something you can do yourself for a fraction of the cost. The honest limitation. This only matters if you actually fill and rotate them. An empty container in a closet does nothing. This is the one item on the list where the follow-through matters more than the purchase. 12 items in, And it comes back to something that has nothing to do with food at all, because the most overlooked risk in most households isn't running out of rice. It's assuming the tap always works. 2 or 3 food-grade 5-gallon containers filled with tap water, 1 drop of unscented bleach per gallon if storing long-term, rotated every 6 months. None of these 12 items solve everything, and none of them are urgent in the sense of buy today or else. What they have in common is that they're cheap now, they store well, and they close real gaps most pantries have without anyone noticing. Start with the water containers. Add the rice and beans. Build the kind of everyday pantry that means your family has options. Not because something's coming, but because it's just a smarter way to shop. That's it for this one. If this kind of practical, no-panic approach to stockpiling and household prep is useful to you, that's exactly what Stock Sentinel is about. So stick around. What's actually sitting in your pantry right now? And how long would it really carry you?